wonder if do I still have my grey spot?
We're gonna have to do that all over again.
You could have given us a countdown.
Right, okay. Sorry about that, by the way. Welcome to another episode of the EuroShow. My name is McLeod. I keep screwing this up.
You forget every time.
Yeah, I do keep screwing this up, but I do have it listed somewhere. Where is it listed? Why has this disappeared on me? I hate it when this happens. Here we go. Right. Anyway, guys, welcome to another episode of the EuroShow. My name is McLeod. I am the God damn it. Why is it not even here? Why am I? Okay, well, you know, I'm basically the director of programming here at Talking Stations, and and programming is not exactly working out quite well over here. So at the moment, but you know, you get the picture. Anyway, I am joined, obviously, with by a bunch of people from a bunch of staffers from TIS. I have the usual suspects, Caleb Ariana.
Hey guys, yeah, you got the full horrible nerd staff today, right?
Yeah. It's gonna be just, you know, ranting and everything like that today. So
I prefer the epithet insufferable pedant.
yes, and that voice that you heard there is Fonsui. Hey Fonsui. And he decides not to speak.
Oh, he's setting up his headphones, I think.
Ah, right, okay. And that voice that you heard is obviously Dr. Spodermain. Hey, Spod. How you doing?
Alive and well with my grey spot.
I'm offended that we didn't let Spot go first, because always Spot first.
You know,
you're not allowed to do that on these shows.
that is a very capitalist. Well, that is a very. I don't think Spot would like that. Let's put it that way. Do we have Fonsui back here now?
Yeah, we're here. We're
live. Welcome, Fonsui. How you doing today?
Life is good. I'm breathing.
Excellent. So, apologies, guys, for not doing a show last Friday. Essentially, you know, a few of us were ill, and kind of, you know, that kind of scuppered plans for the show. But we're back. We're better. You know, maybe not in terms of you know, doing getting the right script and doing the, you know, the right lines in order. But hey, you know, we're working on that.
Yeah, our production quality is the same as always. Don't expect anything else.
Yeah, this is always meant to be a fairly casual show, so you know, it's you know, not getting lines correct and that kind of thing. Like, you know, it's kind of part of the charm, I imagine. I gather. At least I hope that's what you guys out there think of it. Anyway, if we want to look back to the last episode that we did, which wasn't last week but the week before. We actually, what we talked about was AMD's sort of like DLSS that they're working on, Discord's deal with PlayStation and Sony, obviously, Nintendo, and the contractual stuff about not working with the Yakuza that they've put into, you know, that they put into their contracts, which is just weird. A bunch of Blizzard stuff, which is basically Blizzard losing numbers in terms compared to last year, but somehow still increasing revenue. So basically, they're finding more whales to basically to you know, suck money up from, sort of thing.
Milk harder.
Yeah, exactly. They're finding their cash cows, right? The issue that they have with people multi-boxing in WoW, there's and also the cloning fees that were going on in World of Warcraft, and then obviously the sort of like the main kind of thing on that was the Mine MMO CCP interview with various members of the CCP staff, and the Gizmodo deepfake lip syncing for films article, which is kind of cool, actually. But we have some.
You.
Sorry?
Oh, I was saying you talked about the AMD upscaling technology, and that's super exciting. I can't wait.
Yeah, because it's not going to be locked to AMD. So like, you know, if it works better than Nvidia's version, although Nvidia's version is the OG version kind of thing, you know.
Get all into that.
But you know, Nvidia card owners could use it, so that'd be really fantastic. Anyway, let's get on to the topics, or at least the sort of the stuff for this episode, because there's some interesting stuff. In actual fact, we're going to go through some like quick news real quickly. In actual fact, let me just find the right scene. But the first thing that we're going to check out is something which we don't, people who play Eve don't really experience. Let you guys see everybody there. Something that you guys that Eve players don't generally tend to experience, but it's more commonplace in regular sort of like multiplayer games, that kind of thing, especially FPSs, that kind of thing, is people who just rampantly cheat. Right? And I kind of feel like you guys don't really sort of have the same experience that I have in other games, as you kind of come across cheaters a lot more, significantly more than, you know, say if you were playing EVE Online, for example.
Outright cheating in EVE is rare.
Yeah, one of those games is a game called Call of Duty Warzone that have at this particular point in time banned 500,000 cheaters so far. 500,000 cheaters.
Wow.
It's pretty good going, to be honest, considering it's a fairly new game. Like it's not super old like you know, PUBG, for example.
What anti-cheat system have they employed?
Oh, well, I mean, I imagine they probably have, like, you know, the usual sort of the usual third-party cheat software systems.
Yeah, so like BattleEye is very popular.
Mm.
Like BattleEye is what Escape from Tarkov uses.
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain what particular software they use.
No one builds that stuff in-house. Like,
no, they don't have the. And you don't want it to be all in-house as well, because like then you have issues of trying to. Sorry,
Funnily enough, they do actually use an in-house anti-cheat tool. It's an Activision-wide one, apparently.
Oh yeah.
So it's got some weight behind it.
Activision is big enough that they can have developers supporting that product.
Yeah.
And by big enough, I mean corrupt enough.
I think I found my soulmate. in just hating Blizzard. Excellent.
That's the thing. I can't hate anything. I feel sad. I feel sad about what's happened to Blizzard. I feel sad that Activision is corrupt. I feel sad that players can't, you know, purchase games or engage in them and not worry about how they're being taken advantage of or something. That's unfortunate.
I do get where you're coming from, and it's one of those things that that Blizzard sort of has under lock and key. Sort of some of the better franchises when it comes to you know, certain genres of games, right? Anyway, moving on. Moving on to something that is kind of rare, sort of pretty rare when it comes to sort of conversations, at least on the EuroShow, and it is a positive.
Put on your shocked face.
Yeah, put on your shocked face for sure, because it is a positive and how did I describe it? Wholesome. It was a positive and wholesome. Yeah, positive and wholesome EA story. Yes, exactly.
You trolling, bro?
I'm not trolling at all. It's crazy.
Just to make sure that the audience doesn't get shocked and get heart attacks or anything, but McLeod is going to say something positive about EA and FIFA. This usually never happens.
Yeah, and in actual fact, this ended up being mainline news. Like I first heard about it on like BBC's like BBC News, and not like on their sort of like, you know, sort of science and technology show. Like it was like main news, you know, and that is that particular teen who ended up getting murdered has now been recreated in FIFA 21, and sort of they had an artist recreate what he would look like at sort of 30 years old, and so they're including that into the new FIFA
Memorial.
as a memorial.
Nice of them.
It is.
Of course, it's not actual cemeteries and monuments and stuff like that as we're used to in EVE Online, but it's getting there.
No, it's you know, it's I kind of saw this as you know, we've seen many times when sort of players pass in EVE and they get memorialized and, you know, that kind of thing. It's very rare to sort of see that thing in other games because, you know, a lot of other games don't have the kind of persistence, right? So, but this particular kid called Cayenne Prince, right? He was in the youth team for Queen's Park Rangers, and everyone basically considered him to be like a protege. Right? He was an extremely gifted footballer, and he ended up getting knifed and dying when trying to break up a fight at his school, I believe. I mean, tragic, completely tragic, and you know, such a waste of talent. But the fact that you know, FIFA are memorializing him by putting him into FIFA 21 is like fantastic. I just thought that was, you know, superb.
Good job, EA.
Yeah, for once, yeah. Next,
Do we get to see his character?
Yeah, there's pictures on the
there we go. Yeah, there's a picture of his avatar inside of FIFA 21.
So he died breaking up a fight in school as a teen.
I'm not sure how I would feel as a family member.
I mean,
it's respectful, but it's also odd to like meet your sibling, son, whatever, in a game like that. Very odd, but a nice tribute.
It seems as though the tribute has gone over well. So, you know, it's the best that you could hope for, right?
Oh yeah, I wasn't criticizing it in that sense. It's just it's one of those things that it's just interesting. I like it in its own special way.
And moving on to how things should how you should do it kind of territory. We have this is how PC ports to consoles should work. And Rust is going to Rust. If you've never heard of Rust, then you know, to be fair, your psyche is probably a little bit better than most, mainly because there's a lot of trolling and a lot of toxicity in that game. But you know, as a game, as a playground for people, it's a fantastic playground. But it's coming to consoles. But it's taken its sweet damn time. Apparently it's been taken close to 3 years just for the port to consoles, and 8 years since the game was actually released.
So is that being careful or is that incompetence?
No, that's being careful.
Little column B, I think.
Yeah, Facepunch aren't exactly the quickest at developing.
No, but they're not exactly a massive studio either. So, you know, You know, we're not talking we're not talking your EAs, we're not talking your Ubisofts. You know, like it's not a massive company.
A mild, humble brag anecdote. I was one of the first 20 or so people to try Rust when it was still in development, and it was a completely different game. Like, just 100% unrecognizable. It's so weird now. I've not really played the actual final incarnation, and I just can't because it's just
like
the name means something different.
Like you have just in terms of base building, you have like full electrical systems. You have full like water sort of like systems. It's ridiculous. Like modular cars. Like you literally have helicopters that you can build. All sorts of stuff. It's ridiculous. There's boats. There's everything. It's an absurd. It's an absurdly kind of rich playground for people. It just unfortunately a lot of those people that do generally tend to play it are extreme assholes.
I was wondering at what label you were going to come up with there.
Yeah, extreme assholes is the one.
I thought you were going to go with. I thought you were going to go with 12-year-old edgelord.
I mean, there's plenty of those, and it's not like it's mutually exclusive. Like you can be a 12-year-old edgelord and a complete asshole at the same time. So you know,
we have those in Eve. They're just 30 and above, right?
They're
12-year-old edgelords that are 40.
Yeah, who really should fucking know better, right? On to the next thing, and on to sort of people who should know better, which is actually a good segue, in actual fact, is IGN had to went into a bit of controversy, doing something that, well, not doing something that they shouldn't, but editing something, removing something that they probably should have edited, and pissing off a whole bunch of people who do journalism, which I thought was kind of, you know, I mean, was journalists of a sort to some degree, so I thought this was somewhat appropriate anyway. But they put down, they basically, the journalists at IGN put an article up regarding giving, you know, essentially where to go if you want to give aid to people who are like, what would you say, like heavily sort of affected by the Palestine and Israel situation. Unfortunately, they didn't exactly put like a whole bunch of, you know, sort of links to people to supporting Israel, and it was a lot more sort of like Palestinian sort of based stuff, I believe. And instead of editing it and adding more kind of stuff to sort of make it seem sort of fairly even in terms of like, you know, hey, go support this or go support that, whichever, right? They literally just pulled it down.
I mean, we've seen socio-political issues work their way through the money tubes and affect the way decision making is made time and time again. This is nothing new. It's just very visible right now.
Yeah, and so a bunch of people at IGN got really, really pissed off about that, about the fact that it was pulled down, and obviously co-signed a letter, an open letter to IGN's leadership. So IGN leadership got in a bit of hot water with that. And I think the last of the quick news segments is a new survey that says that 59% of women hide their gender to avoid harassment while playing online.
That's a thing.
I mean, it totally is a thing.
That's good news. That means that it is possible that there is 2% instead of 1% EVE players that are female.
So I think that number. So I don't have data, so no. I'm not going to say like, oh, this is happening. But I believe that in the past that number has been higher. So this is actually kind of good.
Yeah, it's definitely dropped down a bit, I think.
I have the same thought immediately.
Quoted, I've heard numbers quoted like somewhere between 70 and 90%.
Yeah.
And I don't know how those studies are done and how it compares to this, but when I see one bigger number and then I see that bad thing having a smaller number, I like to be happy.
Yes, I think if it'll be good to get to get an indication as to whether that number's reduced, and I'm with Caleb on this. I believe this number's reduced, which is good. Still, I kind of feel like that's still a little bit too high. But then again, like I know guys who masquerade under a female avatar's name, all the time. So I don't think it's that, but that's a different thing. That's not avoiding harassment, So so it's a different.
I still think that there's an important aspect to this, right? That I think it's very sensitive to what game community and what type of game, whether or not someone will come out as female or not.
Yeah, it depends a lot on the community and the response they expect.
The headline implies, though, that any number greater than 0 is a problem. Because if it's explicitly saying that they... Well, right. the headline is that they explicitly were hiding their gender to avoid harassment. And the to avoid harassment is the problem. So if anybody is doing that ever, then there's a problem.
Oh yeah,
if you want to hide your gender just because, then whatever. Yeah,
so the ones that are doing it to avoid harassment, that should be 0. We don't want anyone to feel that way. There are other legitimate reasons to hide that information, and that's fine. But this is not okay. We need to, encourage that change.
Yeah. Okay. So, before we get on to probably what is going to be the main topic of the show, I feel like we shall just bookend this with a little ad break. So we'll see you on the other side. Check out some of our sponsors or non-sponsors. Either way. Hey guys, to the second part of potentially 3 parts of the today's EuroShow. We're going to be tackling a fairly significant topic, and it is the title topic of the show, crypto. I think we have a couple of people here who might be interested in crypto in some way, shape, or form, or at least know a little bit about it. Probably more so than me, so but we're going to lead on this particular thing. Sorry, was it?
Because it's literally been crypto week, right? There's been like a lot of interesting shenanigans coming out regarding crypto, and of course, it also has spilled into tech and gaming industry stuff as well. So it's definitely worth doing a crypto edition this week.
Yeah, it has been crazy. Like, I mean, we've done a little bit of crypto here and there on previous shows, but we're basically leading with the fact that China has essentially said that crypto is not a real currency, and obviously sort of done a few things to kind of force that kind of that sort of negative pressure, and it you know, you can say that like it is a direct kind of there's a direct correlation between them, China saying that and there's a drop in Bitcoin, but like nobody truly knows, you know, what is truly affecting what. But you know, you kind of have to make your assumptions, you make your guesses, that kind of thing. What's interesting about this is the fact that China says that cryptocurrency is not a real currency, yet earlier on in, I think even the month, like it's not even early on in the year.
So that's a really good way to know what not to believe if China says it.
Yeah, exactly. Earlier in the year, and this was February 17th, China was setting up and creating a new digital currency.
Oh yeah, so they have a new digital currency, but crypto, yeah, we can't trust that. That's not real. Our shit, that's real though.
Yeah, exactly right. Obviously, this is their version of a digital currency is different to what to the you know, sunshines and rainbows that is Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is a distributed currency, digital currency, whereas what China wants to do is literally literally centralized, right?
So
it's tied into the fact that a lot of financial institutions and economists have been kind of doubling down on arguing against some of the bad things about crypto, at least for this entire year almost, right? You've heard it from many institutions and many of the famous economists talking about how crypto as a technology is good, but the actual coins that are out now are not necessarily healthy or trustworthy. And this ties into one of the pieces of news from nvidia this week, right, where they're basically shutting down or nerfing the ability to mine for crypto.
Yeah,
that's performative. That's fully performative, or alternately performative plus corrupt. But we'll get into that.
What is also interesting as well is that it seems that the Federal Reserve is also potentially on the is considering issuing a central bank digital currency as well.
The issue behind treating cryptocurrency like a monolith is because in different use cases it means completely different things. When a state actor or any centralized organization employs such a tool, that kind of obviates the entire purpose of it. The whole purpose is that it's decentralized and not controlled by a single organization or entity. So when you do that, it's like now it's just digital money, but it's still money. It's not anything new. It's not a tool to people. It's not protected or safe. It's decentralized.
But it is kind of new, because if you're taking back control of the actual creation of money under the state instead of the financial industry, that is a huge step. And just a month ago, I think, Yanis Varoufakis was talking about how one of the solutions to get out of these horrible problems with currencies and the financial sector and this modern neo-feudalism, which some people call capitalism, it's not that capitalism is the problem, it's that we have let it run amok and we've let everything come out of control and oversight, right? It's if we want this back in the hands of a centralized and trustworthy issuer, it needs to go digital. It needs to go crypto. And I think this is the first steps down the line of where crypto can actually shine, because the technology is exactly what we need for something like a proper government banking or even universal banking, and for something like universal basic income, which is the next steps down the line. Because, well, this would make the show very long, but if you look at something like the decoupling from salaries and productivity, and talk about the age of abundance and all these things, and the fact that we're going into more and more automation, right? We need something that is the human condition inside of this. Otherwise, we're just going to end up having no consumers in a consumer economy. That makes no sense.
Fully automated luxury communism?
Yeah, something like that. That would be a good idea.
I was getting worried we were approaching the commie zone there.
So as you said, so firstly, I'll just state for the record that Caleb obviously knows a whole lot more than me about economics and finance in general.
We all he
subject of
knows
cryptocurrency.
he knows more than most, so you know that's fair enough.
Yeah, or at least he can make it sound that way, and like I can get behind that, which is great. So I using cryptocurrency concepts and technology for state-issued currency or state-controlled currency or any centralized thing is an improvement over what we have. But I feel like it's missing the one biggest thing about crypto which makes it unique and different, and that is the decentralization. Because as of now, if we look at it as a communication tool, not necessarily as money or finance, or just the ability of two individual parties to communicate electronically, securely, and in a trustworthy manner without necessarily having trust between them, that is what this tool is for. And until now, the only way to have secure, trusted communications in a zero trust environment has been having something centralized, which basically means a state act. So if we want the people to have tools that are not fully controlled by the state inherently, then decentralizing it and making it have no visible footprint is the only way to protect it. So
Well,
when you have states, go ahead, Caleb.
Well, it's just you have a little bit of a problem with crypto because it's being abused, right? It's being abused as a investment scheme and a storage of wealth thing, and that's really not what you want in a currency, right?
Anytime you have some game changer, disruptive new technology, there's going to be a lot of hype, a lot of snake oil surrounding it, and that hype and bullshit is what people
let me finish my story. The point is that you're talking about the benefits of decentralization, which is local communities and no oversight and bartering stuff and all of those things. Yes, it's amazing at that. But if it's appreciating in value, it's actually pushing out the availability and its utility. So it's not good as a cash money currency. So it's got a lot of downsides to it, even though the technology is useful for both a local kind of crypto as a currency and mode of payment, and as a centralized universal payment, but also as a potential storage of wealth or things like non-fungible tokens. There's many things that can be done with this technology. The point is, as cash money, it's really, really bad. And this is what most economists
not
try to point out.
Not inherent. But yeah, so the way that so you're 100% right. Crypto is both misused and abused because it's a tool, and so is everything else. A car is a tool, and a gun is a tool, and a hammer is a tool, and you can use it to help, you can use it to harm. And this technology, the blockchain technology, is a tool, and as you said, it can be used that way. So when you say that it isn't good as cash money, that's too monolithic, because as you know, there are 10,000 different. That's only an estimation. That's not an exaggeration.
No, my problem is, and I have to explain this maybe. If I am an employer, right, and I wanted to pay my employees with crypto, it becomes more and more expensive to pay them their salary. That makes no sense. They're getting a raise that I haven't signed off on, right? So there's so many inherent problems with this, because it's basically doing the opposite of inflation, right? Inflation means that the £1 note in your pocket is very likely to actually depreciate in value and its purchasing power. In the case of crypto, because of speculation, it's either extremely volatile or it's actually appreciating in value. That is just not a healthy economy.
So again, it depends. There are some coins, there are some networks like Bitcoin that, which is obviously the canonical example, that people refer to as a store of value, a store of wealth, and it is not intended to be your spending money. You're not buying your coffee with Bitcoin. It's prohibitive. It's too slow, it's too cumbersome, it's too expensive to transact that way. But there are other currencies, such as Monero or the meme currency Doge, which don't buy Doge, please. But like as a concept, that's spending money. That's money that they expect you to go around spending. And again, since you know a lot more than me about, the inflationary, deflationary, and stuff like that, I can't speak too much about it, but I can say there are individual blockchain implementations, crypto networks, that are actually designed specifically to be used as spending money. And they're different than others. So like you have Bitcoin, that's a store of wealth. You have Ethereum, that's supposed to be the thing that links it all together with smart contracts. And then we have a new one that I don't know which is going to be the big one that becomes the spending money. But yeah, you're definitely right. It gets abused and misused.
Have any of them solved the time problem? Because as far as I know, there is no crypto. There's no cryptocurrency out there that exists in that I can push the button and have my transaction confirmed within 10 seconds, whereas I can do that with my fiat card at the moment.
Yeah, that's dealt with layer 2 solutions, as in Lightning over Bitcoin or things like that. There are other networks that don't operate directly on the blockchain, but do resolve to the blockchain. They reconcile to the blockchain periodically. So it's secure, and you give up a small amount of security and you gain a large amount of flexibility. So for things like spending money for a coffee, that's okay. But once you deal with something else that's much more, large numbers, you probably want to deal with the blockchain directly. But I'm getting out of my depth there, so I don't want to speak too much on that.
Okay, well, let's move this conversation on a little bit to a different area of controversy with regards to crypto, and the fact that there are many different kind of institutions, many different kind of groups that are actually trying to move their kind of like their blockchain activity on their crypto activity into something that is a little bit more like energy responsible. I would describe. For one, Ethereum is going to be moving to what is referred to as proof of stake, as opposed to proof of work. And so proof of work is essentially the format that requires people to mine it. I
can actually describe this very clearly.
Yeah. Go for it.
So what we're describing right now is the trust system, the proof system. When you have the concept of this network is that it's distributed across the world. None of the individual nodes trust each other, and they don't have to. All they have to do is be able to communicate in a way that proves that they're acting in good faith. So proof of work is the first thing that was designed, that was implemented with Bitcoin, and that is using computational work to say the only way that I could have gotten this information, the only way that I could have built this part of the blockchain is by doing a lot of computational work using hardware and electricity, and that costs money and equipment, so it's difficult. You can't fake it, and the only way to do it is to buy this equipment. So it's a physical hard stop that prevents people from just throwing garbage data onto the network. And this was great until it used up like all the electricity in the world, which is not good.
And all of the GPUs coming out for everyone like us.
Yeah, so that uses up hardware and power. Now, the hardware situation we know about, and it's bad. And that's not just Bitcoin, that's the whole thing. Now, when we're talking about energy, there are basically only two offenders. And the way to fix that is what one of them is doing is what we discussed, moving away from proofs using computational work and moving instead to a different proof system that is called staking, meaning that in order for you to be able to participate and write information to this blockchain and add it and expect everyone to trust it, you have to have skin in the game. You have to own a bunch of this stuff and put it in. So that way, if you screw with the network in such a way that won't be beneficial to it, then you're harming yourself. That's at its core. It's much more complex than that. But at its core, that's what staking means. And there are other proof systems. So the benefit behind staking is that it doesn't use insane computational power. It's a computer, it's like a regular old server using regular old power.
Yeah.
Now, so there are issues with proof of stake that deserve to be discussed. I think that's beyond the format of today's show. We kind of want to keep it simple, but we can discuss that another time. But as far as the energy concern, there are two networks that are the offenders. It's Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ethereum, as we know, is moving away from proof of work and moving to proof of stake and won't use power. That means the only one left, because new networks are not being designed with proof of work. They don't use it. The only one left is Bitcoin. That's it.
Yeah.
There's no other major networks that use it. And Bitcoin currently uses approximately 0.5% of all the power in the world. That means 1 out of every 200 watts is consumed by Bitcoin. However, there is a built-in incentive in Bitcoin, both in terms of optics and in terms of raw cost, to go full green and renewable. And right now, a large percentage of Bitcoin mining operations, which are clumped together, not fully distributed, just kind of distributed, are using their own juice that they're generating themselves. They're actually they're a net negative on the cost. They actually send energy back to the grid.
Yeah, there's I mean, obviously, sort of, if you're doing like a big, crypto mining kind of business, like say out of Iceland, you would probably be pulling that energy from geothermal, that kind of thing. So it is fairly renewable. But like, I have obviously heard, and probably other people have heard of situations where coal-fired sort of power plants have actually been brought back online, almost specifically for mining crypto, which is concerning to some degree. I don't know how much of that is hearsay, how much of that is actually fact. In this day and age, you always have to sort of assume that it's not always going to be 100% true.
Well, this is where I always thought that crypto was an interesting technology, because it could become a utility-backed currency where you're basically, well, which is kind of what you're talking about when you're saying that you can actually produce it with free energy or renewable energy. I think going down the path of looking at utilities of services and back our currency on that is really the future of money. Whether well, you could make an oil coin, right? Basically backing it on the availability and the output of oil, crude barrels in the world. And to some extent, you can say that the U.S. currency in the form of the petrodollar has kind of done that, except it's being manipulated massively, right? So the future, I think, is down this whole type of technology, because if we can get it to a point where the circulation of money and the valuation of money is directly linked to the utilities and services available to the globe, that would really mean that we would have a natural appreciating coin, which would mean that we would all basically get planetary dividends, right? And this is the type of economy that we're moving towards.
You're describing.
Many of us are not going to experience this, because this is not going to really be effective until, like, I don't know, 20, 25 years into the future, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
So you're describing tokenization of resources, of any resource. It could be an energy resource, could be a computational resource. Like, there are already crypto networks that use work as proof, but only work that has to be done. So there are scientific data and mathematical data that has to be crunched, and there are crypto networks that pay in coins for that work. And yes, that's using GPUs and using CPUs and using energy, but that's work that is not busy work. It's not just do this and use and burn the energy. That's
just to give you an example, right? I think I've told you this in private more than once. There are times in the current Euro energy grid where you can't actually sell your electricity to the grid because they don't want it, right? So that means that you're actually running on a negative. The price goes to negative for you in case of your connection to the grid. So what you could do in that situation is, well, mine crypto, right? Because you can't sell the electricity. Why not use it for something locally? And setting up a small mining farm would actually make sense. So this is what I mean with the next level of that, is that this just becomes the norm, that this is how our economy is fundamentally working. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it won't be 20 years in the future. It could actually be a lot faster. Usually when you're trying to do linear progression things on technology that's developing exponentially, you are ending up being very wrong.
Well, you never know.
So the discussion of moving to staking for Ethereum is an important, because
because I also wanted to bring this up a little bit as well, because you've seen some sort of fairly major players in sort of the world scene, as it were, kind of ditching certain cryptocurrencies because they're not considered that green, or that they're still using the proof of work, right? Obviously, the most obvious, the most well known one is the fact that Elon sort of said that Elon Musk said that Tesla is not going to be allowing their cars to be bought using cryptocurrency, whereas previously, you know, obviously they kind of bought into Bitcoin.
His pump and dump.
In actual fact, no, it wasn't a pump and dump, because later on Elon clarified that he did not sell any Bitcoin.
It doesn't matter if he clarifies after the fact. If you talk something up and then you talk it down, you're basically doing a pump and dump, right?
No, so a pump and dump implies that was planned and the goal was to manipulate the price. But Musk doesn't think that far ahead. It goes like from brain down 2 fingers to Twitter, and that's it. And there's no like actual thought process. He just just comes out, no filter.
Is this what we call the Elise Randolph defense?
So we discussed NVIDIA, limiting the hash rates on their cards. So for anyone who's not aware, that means that NVIDIA has released one card already and is refreshing their entire line, such that these cards are not capable of the full performance for mining specifically Ethereum and nothing else. So they could change that in the future on the cards in the field. They don't have to send
expanded. Yeah, hopefully that gets expanded.
Right. So they're putting out these cards that do half the hash rate of a card that wasn't limited. And what they are hoping is that these cards will be less attractive or unattractive to miners to buy. I think, or at least that's the claim. I think that's BS, because money is money, and a money tree is a money tree. So they're just going to buy it.
I just go for it.
But here's the real goal, and this is, they say that it's like, oh well, we want miners to buy them less and gamers to buy them more. But here's the real goal. The real goal is to destroy the secondary market.
They just want them to buy them. They just want people to buy them. That's it.
Well, they want to destroy the
They
want to make these not resellable. So when they limit the hash rates, and when they put out the cards with no video outputs, like the CMP line that they put out recently with no video
outputs, that was terrible.
Those can't be sold as graphics cards later.
No, but they're not going to be sold regardless. But Spod, what were you going to say?
Yeah, sorry.
I was going to mention how one of the critical things that sort of debunks the whole idea and the whole point of this is that the miners buying up cards is actually a complete tiny minority of the card source. It's like probably responsible for less than 10% of the issue. It's really, really a minority. So it's a red herring. It's a straw man that they're chasing to, like Fonsuri says, to say, hey, look at these other cards that are great for mining. Buy these, and then wait a minute, nobody wants it when it's no longer profitable to mine with. You've now got a nice brick.
And they don't care. This kind of ties into the right to repair discussion, which isn't on our list today, but it creates e-waste. This intentionally creates e-waste for the purpose of profit.
Yeah, it is literally just profit. At the end of the day, for NVIDIA, it's just about profit. But
the good news is just around the corner, because as we said, Ethereum is moving to staking. So what happens when Ethereum starts staking? Because just about all of the mining now, the GPU mining is in Ethereum. There is lots of other coins that have lots of GPUs mining them and CPUs mining them, and they exist and they're out there. But the vast bulk are mining Ethereum. And that's
Can I just ask a small question? Because I was just wondering, considering the price of these cards right now, what is the actual mining ROI? I know that's very Eve to say
anywhere from 3 to 6 months before you pay the card off completely.
That's quite impressive, actually.
Yeah,
crypto is working.
Yeah, and it's actually even sooner than that, because if you're trying to pay off the entire investment, that's 3 to 6 months. But if you're just trying to cover the loss in value of your equipment to break even, then let's say your equipment loses 50% of its value. You only have to generate that 50%. So now we're talking a month and a half to 3 before you're safe, and then you're profiting.
Which is just kind of crazy.
This is all coming to an end.
Yes.
So
yes. And I did want to say that, like, when we were sort of pointing, you know, we were kind of getting onto the sort of we got onto the sort of green side of crypto. One of the stories that we had in one of the previous episodes, in actual fact, was a little kind of thing about Ubisoft. In actual fact, I kind of made I made fun of this a little bit because of you know how it was because of some grammatical errors, but it was essentially that Ubisoft was essentially backing a blockchain ecosystem that was, I believe, as you kind of said previously, Fonsui, proof of stake, right, rather than proof of work. That's
so
the Tezos blockchain.
There was a comment in chat that I wanted to bring up, and Rapskull said, proof of stake is a system by which people who already have money get more by nature of having it just to begin with, just like real money. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. It's not perfect. It's still
who's trying to trigger Spot?
he's triggering me. Like he's saying it's true. What he's saying is completely true, and it doesn't fix everything, but it is better than what we have.
Yeah. Even the capitalism can't get away from my imaginary coins.
Yeah, it's the decentralized nature of it that means it's decoupled from a state actor and decoupled from a specific entity or body that can be corrupted
or do nefariously bad things with it. Anyway, we should probably finish with this.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, because we can probably carry on.
What's happening to GPU mining?
Yeah, exactly. So, and obviously we all know who is really, really, really hot on sort of blockchain and crypto at the moment as well. Who's very much part of the sort of, well, I wouldn't say very much part of the EVE experience, but is very much has been a controlling stake in the EVE experiences as we have today, which is obviously Hilmar Petter Vegason. So yeah, we shall move on from here to talking about literally about CCP, because CCP very recently, to be completely honest, in collaboration with I believe is it called MMOS, or commonly referred to as Citizen Science?
And this is our Nobel Prize Light, right? It's the internet's highest award, the Webbies, and I think it's MMOS that actually gets it, if I'm not mistaken, because they are the ones that are actually responsible for all this. But it's through the collaboration with Project Discovery, right?
Yes. If you're kind of wondering what the Webbies are, it's basically sort of like essentially internet culture kind of created, ended up with a situation of trying to figure out how to create awards to award all sorts of things, I think, but obviously
internet activity.
Yeah, internet activity. Yeah, but they've got a whole ton of categories, and it's actually been going for quite some time, to be completely honest. Some of the categories are new because, as always, in the sort of the internet and technology is always changing and always evolving. So, you have these sort of new categories coming up. I believe the sort of best public service, activism, and social impact in the game category is sort of relatively new. But the nice thing about this is that it's the People's Voice Award, which basically means that obviously it was chosen by the public, not by some small team of judges who could be influenced one way or another, right?
In before voting brigade.
I mean that's kind of, to some degree, there's a little bit. To some degree, there's a little bit of public. Sorry.
There was an open call for a voting brigade.
Well, I mean, the Webbies haven't been with a little bit of controversy. Like there has been a bit of criticism that's gone around regarding the Webbies. basically because it's to some degree it's a pay to enter and pay to attend policy. Pay to attend is obviously with regards to the the sort of ceremony, right? The award ceremony. But to some degree, the pay to enter or pay to be nominated was a little bit controversial to some degree.
Regardless, I think the takeaway is what, because CCP did a stream about this before the actual voting ended, right? And we had a lot of the actual involved scientists talking about the project and basically applauding the EVE community. Because as they said, this is an actual example of EVE players saving lives, right? It's not just time, and it's one thing that we gamed it to death and we completely crushed it with 330 years of man hours generated and all that. But I think the important thing is really that this is actual meaningful science and it's going to save lives. And I think that's the takeaway, and that's also why I think this is the correct winner, right? The other one was really good, like the uncensored library. I think that's amazing, right? Because it's the whole information wants to be free, and I've been singing that song since day one on the internet. So, but the fact that this is actual real science that in the medical field that actually will save lives is why I think this is the correct winner, right? MMOS should get that one.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement there. Like, the uncensored library, as good as it is, it's fantastic. But like, yeah, it's the fact that MMOS has been able to partner with CCP and just leveraging just average human beings, like maybe better, maybe slightly higher than average human beings considering we're EVE players, right? But leveraging humans to be able to do science at scale, which is fantastic.
And think about this back to the whole, just to segue a little bit back to what we just covered. Imagine if you could see a future where a lot more of this is actually out there, this type of crowdsourced science stuff. And
it's called point, and it exists.
The point is that imagine if this could also have a currency tied to it, right?
It does. It's called point, and it exists. Like you're saying imagine, but it's already a thing.
It's not tied to necessarily a meaningful piece of work, right? From a human being.
BOINC is a science computing crypto network that is tokenized. So useful computational work, needed computational work is distributed and paid for.
How does Hilmar not know about this, and how isn't Project Discovery not already tied, intrinsically into it already? Like what's going on?
I'll put a link in.
The difference that one is a distributed network and of computing power, like just flops, and this is actually human work, right? There's a difference between the two.
Yeah. So this is not human work. So what I'm describing is computational work. But right on the bullet point, it says about 30 science projects use BOINC. They investigate diseases, study climate change, discover pulsars, and do other types of scientific research.
MMOS and citizen science, right?
So anywhere you go, if you start going through the different cryptocurrencies that are available, you can see like this one is a tokenization of this resource. This one is so let's talk about Twitch. So Twitch is awful and owned by Amazon, which is also awful, which is owned by Bezos, who is awful.
Polite and sort of very very passive nerd back in the day.
Yeah. So now, but I don't like. There's so much controversy on Twitch moderation and policies and how they apply the rules unevenly, and they do this because they're making money off that, and this person they let it get away with this, and this person they don't let it get away with that. It's corruption to the core. But there is a crypto network called Theta, Theta, Theta.tv. And that is a decentralized version of Twitch powered by a crypto network. No one controls it except the participants.
It's
Any
intriguing.
sort of service, yeah, and then there's all the storage cryptocurrency networks. So like right now we have Dropbox and Amazon S3, and Google Drive and all this stuff. And that's, cloud storage. There are crypto networks that distribute your data across the entire world and tokenize that resource. And the miners are paid for the data that they store and the data that they serve out, not for computational work. And that's real resource that's given a token that people trade around. Like any resource at all can be tokenized.
Okay, well, I feel like I feel like if we carry on this direction at this velocity, we are going to fall down into a massive rabbit hole. Yeah. Which we could talk about in the Discord chat, like after the show, like to your heart's content kind of thing. But that'll be after the show. We're going to have to sort of draw this one to a close. As such, thank you very much out there for hanging out and chilling out with us. Definitely make sure that you're in the Discord channel or in our Discord server. The links are obviously down below, and I believe there's ways and means of putting it into chat. I believe it's !Discord. Maybe.
Well, the usually memorable one is just talkingstations.com/Discord.
If I spell it right, maybe. There you go. So yeah, it happens. Like, especially to me, it happens. But anyway, thank you very much for chilling out with us. You should definitely hit this channel back up a little later on in US prime time. Matterall's going to be doing his usual, Eve-centric daily show as such. So definitely check that out. But
I have an important last message.
Okay, go for it, Caleb.
Since this is the EuroShow, I just want to remind everyone, tomorrow is Eurovision final, and you have to watch it.
Oh, God.
No,
I'd like to thank my co-participants in the audience for allowing me to use up about 4 or 5 shows worth of mic holding button down.
Well, I mean, I don't think we would have been able to stop you there, so it's completely fine. Anyway,
intended.
Yes. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. That'll be it for the EuroShow this week, but we'll be back next week. And till then, take care, have fun, and fly safe.